Top 10 most dangerous toys in human history. One careless mistake could cost you your life. Curiosity and playfulness are natural instincts for children, and toys are an essential part of everyone's childhood. However, some toys, besides sparking curiosity and bringing laughter, hide serious dangers. Some of them you may have even played with yourself. Hello, I'm V. Today, let's take a look at the 10 most dangerous toys ever made, and check if any of them are still lurking in your home. Number 10. Sky Dancers. Back in the 1990s, the well-known toy company Galoob had an idea. Girls love dolls, boys love helicopters, so why not combine them? This concept led to the creation of the Sky Dancers. At first, the idea seemed fantastic. The doll was placed on a decorative base, and when the string was pulled, it would spin rapidly and take off into the air using helicopter-like propellers. Upon release, the toy became an instant hit, selling incredibly well. However, it didn't take long for the company to receive over 170 reports of injuries caused by the toy. As it turned out, the Sky Dancer dolls weren't designed to land safely. Instead, they could unpredictably fly towards parents, siblings, or friends, causing serious injuries. Reports included corneal abrasions leading to temporary blindness, broken teeth, fractured ribs, and even concussions. For a children's toy, this was clearly a serious oversight. Safety should always be considered from multiple perspectives before launching a product. Number 9. Bindee's Beads. Let me give you a quick warning. Any toy made from chemicals deserves extra caution. They often contain toxic substances. This is especially true for toys like Aqua Dots, which are small, colorful beads that children could easily swallow. Aqua Dots first hit the market in 2007 and quickly became a global sensation, even winning Australia's Toy of the Year award. The concept was simple yet creative. Kids could arrange the tiny beads into patterns on a mesh board, then spray them with a special adhesive to magically fuse them together. However, just like the Sky Dancers, this toy had a hidden danger. The beads were tiny, meaning small children could accidentally swallow them and choke. Even worse, the beads contained a toxic chemical coating. If ingested, they could cause coma, short-term memory loss, and even seizures. After multiple cases of poisoning were reported, the company was forced to recall the product. They tried several strategies to bring it back to the market, including changing the name, redesigning the packaging, and adding a protective coating to prevent ingestion. Unfortunately, none of these efforts restored its former popularity, and the toy eventually faded into obscurity. Number 8. Magnetic Balls. Magnetic balls, also known as buckyballs, are a nostalgic childhood memory for many. These small, shiny spheres can be combined in countless ways to form various shapes. Their strong magnetic properties come from neodymium, a rare earth metal that allows them to attract each other with impressive force. This made them incredibly fun to play with. Kids loved watching them snap together, rotate, and even seemingly jump into position. Unlike the previous two toys, buckyballs don't pose an immediate and obvious danger. However, if you have infants or toddlers at home, you should be extra cautious. Because of their small, shiny appearance, young children can easily mistake them for candy and swallow them. If a child ingests more than one, the strong magnetic force can cause them to track inside the stomach or intestines. This can result in the balls sticking together through the intestinal walls, forming dangerous blockages and tearing holes in the digestive tract. For small children, whose bodies are still delicate, this can lead to severe pain, internal bleeding, and even vomiting blood. In critical situations, doctors may have no choice but to perform surgery to remove part of the intestine to save the child's life. Life advice: fire safety, death prevention, and keeping small objects out of reach. Number 7. Easy Bake Oven. No matter how much times change, playing house will always be a beloved childhood activity. Now, imagine telling a child, "Sweetie, you can bake your own little cakes." They would be thrilled. This is exactly what the Easy Bake Oven promised. Designed to let children bake mini cakes, this toy was so popular that it was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame in 2006. But what followed was an unexpected crisis. The toy's manufacturer, Hasbro, made some modifications to the oven's design, but they didn't fully consider the safety implications. One major design flaw was the oven door. When children placed food inside, their hands could easily get trapped, leading to severe second and third degree burns. As a result, Hasbro was forced to recall 985,000 units and take full responsibility for the reported injuries. Today, The redesigned version of the Easy Bake Oven is much safer, but this incident serves as a reminder how even the most innocent-looking toys can pose hidden dangers. Number 6. Lawn darts. For kids growing up in 1980s America, lawn darts were a household staple. While modern dart games are relatively safe, back then, things were very different. The original lawn darts were large, weighted, and equipped with sharp metal tips. The game itself was simple. Players aimed for metal rings placed on a lawn and took turns throwing the darts. At first, it seemed like harmless backyard fun. But soon, tragedy started piling up. One of the most shocking cases involved a young girl who was fatally struck by a lawn dart. The sharp, heavy projectile pierced her skull, leading to her untimely death. Following this incident, serious safety concerns surrounding the game began surfacing. The darts, originally intended for adults, lacked proper warning labels and safety regulations. In just 8 years, lawn darts were responsible for sending 60,100 people to the hospital, with nearly half of them being children under the age of 10. As a result, the U.S. officially banned the sale of lawn darts in 1988, and Canada followed suit in 1989, banning them from being sold as part of toy sets. Number 5. Laser pointers. If you've ever been to Rome, you might remember street vendors selling green laser pointers. These gadgets look cool because they can emit powerful green beams that reach far distances. Some models even come with fun attachments that make the light flash and dance around a room. However, they are far more dangerous than they seem. In most countries, laser pointers can only be legally sold if their power output does not exceed 5 milliwatts, ensuring they remain relatively harmless. However, with just a simple AA or AAA battery boost, the lasers sold by street vendors often exceed 10 milliwatts or more. At such high power, the danger becomes immediate. A direct hit to the eyes can damage the cornea, potentially causing blindness. Worse still, these high-intensity beams can penetrate through obstacles. If one of these lasers happens to hit the windshield of a low-flying aircraft, it could completely blind the pilot, making it nearly impossible to operate the plane safely. This is not just dangerous, it's outright illegal. Laser pointers marketed as toys must be strictly regulated to prevent serious accidents and even loss of life. Number 4. Clacker balls. If you grew up in the late 1960s, you might remember a simple yet addictive toy, clacker balls. These toys were made of 2 heavy balls attached to a string. When swung correctly, they would collide with a loud clack sound. Because playing them required focus and coordination, manufacturers marketed them as a toy that improved hand-eye coordination. Back then, clacker balls were commonly made of wood, metal, or acrylic plastic. Following Newton's cradle principle, they would continue to make rhythmic clacking sounds when played with. Initially, no one saw anything wrong with them, but then accidents started happening. Some children unintentionally caused the balls to shatter while playing. The resulting sharp fragments flew out at high speed, and since kids were often staring at the toy closely, many suffered direct hits to their eyes, some even losing their vision. In 1971, U.S. safety regulations were revised, enforcing stricter standards for the toy's production. However, due to the rising cost of manufacturing safer versions, clacker balls soon disappeared from the market. Number 3. Mini hammocks. Hammocks have always been a favorite pastime for kids. If you or your child is a frequent visitor to playgrounds, you've probably seen or even used a mini hammock. But what you may not know is that older versions of these hammocks once posed a deadly risk. During the 1980s and 90s, many mini hammock models were sold without support bars. Instead, they were simply tied between 2 trees. When children jumped and played on them, the ropes could twist and entangle them, leading to suffocation hazards. This was not just a theoretical risk. Tragic accidents did happen. Since children can get carried away while playing, they often didn't notice the danger until it was too late. Statistics show that at least 12 children lost their lives due to these defective hammocks. As a result, regulatory agencies swiftly recalled nearly 3 million units and introduced stricter safety requirements. From then on, all hammocks had to include sturdy safety bars to prevent entanglement. Thanks to these regulations, today's hammocks are much safer. They also come with detailed instructions on how to set them up properly to avoid accidents. However, there are always unscrupulous manufacturers who cut corners for profit. If you own a hammock at home, take a moment to check whether it meets modern safety standards. It could save a life. Number 2. Hoverboards. It seems that any toy with wheels is bound to be a hit with kids, especially one that not only moves, but also looks cool. Hoverboards were no exception. At first, kids were cautious when using them, but once they got the hang of it, the problems started. For one, most people ride them on sidewalks, and as their riding skills improve, their speed increases, along with the risk of accidents. On top of that, kids often get distracted by music or their phones while riding. Another major issue was the sudden explosion of hoverboards in the market, with their skyrocketing popularity. Countless manufacturers rushed to produce them, and many cut corners to maximize profit. This led to frequent accidents, including falls and fractures. Fortunately, regulatory measures have improved over time, and stricter manufacturing standards are now in place. But for the sake of safety, children should always use hoverboards under adult supervision. Number 1. Cabbage Patch Dolls. For many young girls, owning a doll that can interact and play with them is a dream come true. And at one time, the Cabbage Patch doll was the ultimate must-have toy. What made this doll special was its unique design. It had a built-in motor and sensors in its mouth, giving it the ability to eat like a real baby. To make playtime even more fun, the manufacturer even provided exclusive doll food for kids to feed it. Sounds adorable, right? But here's the problem. The doll didn't just eat the toy food. Many parents complained that their daughter's hair was accidentally eaten by the doll, getting painfully yanked out at the roots, leaving some children traumatized. Worse still, the doll had no ability to distinguish between food and non-food items. If a child placed their finger near its mouth, the doll would detect it as food and begin chewing. You can imagine how dangerous that could be. And that concludes today's video. Out of these 10 dangerous toys, which one shocked you the most? Or do you know of any even more dangerous toys? Let me know in the comments below.